Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Healthy Heart Hospital is a cooperative board game based around running a hospital. Since I was a little kid and I played Theme Hospital on the PlayStation 1, this has been a genre of games that have always kind of interested me. If there's something about running a hospital where you're building diagnosis rooms, etc., and healing patients, I just find that very interesting about managing all of the resources. Healthy Heart Hospital puts you in like the 70s, 80s, St. Elsewhere kind of universe, Grey's Anatomy type of universe, but without all the love affairs, of course. And this one, you're running the hospital. You got patients coming in, and you are healing them through. You have to decide what you're going to upgrade, what's best for your hospital, how are you going to cure these people. Now, the game does have randomness in it because you will be drawing cubes from a bag or a cup, and those will dictate kind of who you can heal and what things will be happening. So randomness is in this game, but you are allowed to look in the cups. So you can say, oh, there's a lot more gray cups in here. Maybe I'll try to do that. So you kind of play your percentages too, although you can't really control everything. The game is cooperative, so you'll be working with the other people to kind of accomplish the goals and strategize things out. Personally, I prefer this game as a solo operation. I really enjoy this as a solo game. I enjoy healing people and going through the different steps. Now, the game can be a little bit on the long side, I suppose, as you're going through the process, but it never overstayed its welcome to me. Once I got the flow of the game and I had the hints going through it, I was able to kind of keep going through the game and making those decisions, slowing down when it's time for me to make a decision, and then speeding up when I'm just doing cleanup, and that worked brilliantly for me. This is a game I found myself going back to over and over and over again. I wanted to do different upgrades. I wanted to try different strategies. I wanted to do different things. I would love for some more expansions to come out with this. Now, when I first played this game, the immediate comparison to me was to Clinic. Clinic is much more intense than this. It's much heavier. There's a lot more going on in it. And that one plays more like a spreadsheet to me, where this one plays more like a cooperative. There's randomness, you're drawing cubes, more like a game. But it gave me enough of the theme that I was interested in. Now, there's the parodies, and you say, oh, that character is that doctor from that show. And that's all in the version I have, and I think that works brilliantly. I do like the look of the game. It's a little bland on the color for what I normally like, but I think it works here. I like the upgrades I have. I like the balance of different upgrades. There's no way you can do everything. So what are you going to do to change your hospital this time? There's different scenarios you can play. There's a lot in this box, and I like this game quite a bit. If you're into a cooperative game and or solo gaming, and you like the idea of running a hospital, I would highly, highly recommend you checking this one out. Just notice some randomness in drawing the cubes. Otherwise, big hit for me and a keeper. Healthy Heart Hospital. Here we go. Now, you're going to have like a 70s, maybe 60s, 80s motif to this. So you can see the colors that they're using here. Here's a rule book, which we'll set aside for now. We'll take a look at that in a few minutes. You're going to get a board. This almost reminds me of like a mass market board, the way it looks. And it's going to be charts. This is going to be what you have. This is going to be the waiting room where they come in, rooms for expansion, the wards where they go to, they want to get cured or whatever. Going to have some workers up here, points and money, and a cemetery. This hospital has a cemetery because people are going to die here a lot. And then this is what the insert is going to look like. It's not very useful, but I kind of have things set up under here so you can easily see this. Let me pull this out. I'll show you what you get. So these are the components you're going to get. You're going to get some cubes, which it's kind of a necessary evil. They're not very thematic, but you will be drawing these. These will be the beds where people get sick, and you can see that the numbers get higher in different colors. You're going to get any number of chits. It's kind of weird. These are people you hire, and they all have powers, but they're not here. It's just somebody's like torso, upper torso on each of these. Kind of weird. These will be your actions that you have, and etc. Everything is fine. You're going to have some different cards in here. You're going to have, these are like extra expansions for the place. There's a morgue. There's always an upgrade on their side, and they kind of go off to the side of the board. You're going to have your administrators, each with different powers. You're going to have your doctors. Each doctor, there's a lot of these, and they're going to have different powers. And I got more rooms and doctors through here that you're going to have. These will be the ambulance cards. There's not a lot of artwork on them, really. For the most part, this is going to tell you how many cubes come out. There's going to be a random assessment of cubes that come out. The cards are pretty good. The quality of everything is fine. It's just nothing that's going to be like, wow, the components look fantastic and with little cubes and stuff. But this isn't a game that you're going to be playing for the look of it very much. So here's the rule book. You're going to get a picture of the front of the box. You're going to get a table of contents over here and a picture of the different components that you're going to have in the game. Then you're going to have the victory conditions and defeat, and then set up with numbers and a picture. It's very, very nice. Now, honestly, if you just go step by step through this book, you don't actually have to read it. You can just start playing the game. Maybe you won't make the most optimal decisions, but you can get into the game. This will explain a little bit about what's going on, kind of the theme. This kind of pushes the theme into it a little bit, etc. And then you have the sequence of play. So this will be everything you need to know to play the game. There'll be a reference on the back, but that will go through it. And then they're going to break all the steps down. You can see plenty of pictures. There's some examples. The powers, so if you get little powers, they'll actually be in this section where they'll use them at instead of being listed somewhere else. Here are the extra rooms you can build and how to do research, etc. And then hiring staff, and then what the administrators do, a little bit of a thing here. And then the housekeeping would be the end of the cleanup phase, and then what happens if somebody dies, how to do that. And then how to win and how to score up. There's some gameplay variants. This is really important right here. This is going to make the game easier or harder. It's a little bit of a harder game. And the back gives you a really good reference. I just keep this out. It tells me what the action tokens do, what the workers do, what some of the cards do, and the play sequence. This is really, really great as you're going out through it. So pretty good job with the rulebook. Honestly, guys, you can just start picking this rulebook up, set it up, and start playing a turn, and you'll pick this game up really, really quickly. So you're always going to play with an administrator. And the administrator is going to have abilities that they can do on there. And they'll have a chief of staff they can flip over when they utilize their powers. You're also going to have a number of doctors based on the number of players. I think you always have to have 4 of them. And they're each going to have their own power on there that you can utilize. Some will let you build things cheaper, let you heal a little bit better, etc. You can randomize this or just pick whoever you want to be those people. Now, I'm going to go through a round really quickly and just kind of show you how things are going to happen. So, the first thing you're going to do each turn is you're going to draw a random ambulance card. There'll be one for the left and one for the right. When this deck runs out, the game will end. If you have survived, you'll take the prestige points that you've earned and look at the chart and kind of see what happened. So what's going to happen here is you're going to draw 6. That's going to be 6 cubes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this says draw 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's no drawstring bag that'll come with it. You just put them in a cup and you draw out. Now, for every black that you draw here, you're going to put that aside in a discard pile, and you're going to draw 2 new cubes for each black. So that's for the first one and for the second one. If you draw another black, you'll take that out, and that will continue until you don't have any black cubes there anymore. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take all the light colored ones, and these are going to be patients that will be in the waiting room. So you'll kind of fill this up right here. And they're going to go on this side, the side they were pulled from. Now, if you ever get more than 5 here, or more than 4, so 5 or more, then they will die. We'll go over deaths in a few minutes, but for the most part, you're going to take one of these cemeteries out, or these tombstones, put it in the cemetery. You're going to pay the number of dollars times the PV, which will be 1 times 1. Up here, it could be 6. And then you'll lose victory points the same way. 1 times the PV. You can see the PV will change, and they can actually be different when you build these if they happen to die in there. So that's how that's going to start the first of the round. Now up here, this section right here is going to be called what you call the wards. W-A-R-D-S. And each one's going to get a power, which could be positive or negative. They'll be placed here at the beginning of the game, and you kind of need to be aware of it. This one says no doctor bonuses will work there. This one requires 2 cubes per heal stop. Ignore all black cubes, though. And there's different ones that can be out there, and there's some that you won't even use in a game. So every time you play, it'll be a little bit different. So after you put everybody in the waiting room, you're going to do your rounds. And that simply means you're going to draw a cube for each bed. And you're going to put these out on the different beds. And I'm just kind of randomizing them here so you can see. Now, if there's any blacks, remember, we're still in that section where if you get 2 blacks, a black, you're going to get rid of it and put 2 cubes on there. If the cube matches the color, which it does because there was a yellow one here, then this means that it will go up by 1. So let me do this one first. The 2 would then become a 3. A 4 will become a 5, and sadly you're going to die, which will put another tombstone up there. You'll lose money for the lawsuit, and you'll lose prestige points also. This is red on gray. It doesn't get bigger. The green, he will get a little bit sicker. Green on red, no effect. Yellow on blue and red on blue, no effect. That's called taking your rounds. Then we'll go into the action phase. Each person is going to get 2 actions, and these little tokens, you'll just flip them over when you use them. This kind of signifies that you've done something. So what you're going to do, for the most part, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be healing. And you're going to go to these locations, and you're going to try to heal people. So let's say for one action, I want to move somebody from the waiting room into the bed, because I don't want this to potentially bust on the next turn. So what I'll do is I'll put a 3 here, because there's 3 cubes in the waiting room, and I'll put these into the discard pile. Now, as more and more cubes get in the discard pile, I'm going to know what the breakdown of the cup is. I can look in the cup anytime I want. So something for the action to do is take it from the waiting room into one of the wards so I can start healing it. Now, if you want to heal, which is the main action you'll take a lot, it tells you right here you're going to draw 6 of these cubes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You'll say which bed. So I'm going to go for this bed right here. I will look. I drew 3 yellow and no black. So I would heal this for 3. I'm going to get 3 times 2 would be $6. And since I healed it, it's worth 1 prestige times the PV there, which will be 2 victory points or prestige points. Now, let's say instead of what I drew there, I drew a black. In this part of the game, you do not get rid of the black and draw 2 more. The blacks are just -1. So 3 yellows and 1 black. The other ones are ignored. Would be 2 yellows. If that was the case, then I would only heal this to a 1. So I don't get any prestige points. I didn't cure him. But I did bring him up 2 levels. So 2 levels. I cured him times the 2 here would be 4, and I would gain 4 coins or money for that. You're also going to have these tiles that will be up here. You can always spend a medical action or an action to reveal these, and another action to put these on your doctor. These will give you bonuses to when you're doing stuff. This one says +1 in OR, +1 to internal medicine, or +1 to cardio. There's a whole bunch of different one of these, but they're basically kind of upgrade your doctors as you're going through. Another thing to do is hire staff. As you go through, you're going to have these now hiring, and as you get more prestige points, these will be revealed as you go. These will all have different powers, but let's just say you get the chief of finance, it costs you $5. That's something your administrator would do. So your administrator is going to be able to take one of their chief actions if they want, and they're going to start off with an administrator action. So they could spend that and hire somebody, and it costs $5, and then you would have that ability. Like, he gives you $3 per round, but there are some that will help you with curing. There's some that will help you with the parking lot down here. There's all a bunch of different powers that they do. Another thing you do with a medical action or an advanced action or administration action is to build these rooms. Usually they cost $10, and the administrator builds them. And for example, this will be a padded room for psychiatric. It'll let them, you draw 8 instead of normal 6. It's worth 3 PV, but you get 2 victory points when you build it. Now, they're put over here, and they can be upgraded one time to be a little bit stronger, but also they let you have 5 instead of just 4 before you die. So you actually go into a coma versus normally you would die. So it lets their lifespan be a little bit longer when you're busy juggling everything. So know that you can add those too. At the end of the round, everybody's going to get their actions back. You might have some abilities that would trigger, etc. All of these would come off, and you would put out 2 new ambulance for the next round. If at any point you can't pay, you don't have any money, you would lose the game. If you have too many deaths, you would lose the game. If you're able to survive until the ambulance deck is out, then you will win. You see how many points you got. Go on the chart, and it'll tell you what happened at the end of your hospital and how well that you did. And that's a brief overview of how you play Healthy Heart Hospital. Who should buy this game? Solo gamers, I think, are really going to like this. They're kind of used to that. A little bit of randomness just to kind of keep it going. I think they'll be okay with that. Cooperative games, it probably leans towards less people than more, if you ask me. But more, you do have more powers going on with the doctors that you'll be playing. That's going to be very, very helpful. And the game really does kind of stagger it out. So it's not a lot of extra downtime. It does increase the difficulty of the game. It balances out quite well, actually. If you like the hospital theme, I think this is going to come through a lot here. So this is a lot to like about this game. It's a keeper for me.